Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Stand Speakeasy. I'm your host, Srethney, and every episode I bring a comic from different time zones and we talk about their comedy journey. And for this week, for this episode, I'm bringing on Mo from all the way from California. So, Mo, how are you?
Hello. Hi, I'm doing good. I'm here
Awesome.
in California, but all is good.
Indeed. I feel the same way because I'm in Florida, so we're like the other California. So, indeed, we have the Disney World and Universal Studios here too. It's like,
Oh yeah, that's right. And
mhm,
actually, this is even mind-bending. Um, I remember I was in Miami once. That was in Florida too, right?
uh-huh.
And I was just there and I had this epiphany and I was like, I feel like I've been here before. I feel like I know something about this place. And I never been to Florida, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've never been to Miami. But then I was like, I feel like I've been here before. And I look out in the car and I see everything. And I was just like, oh, this is just like Bangkok.
Indeed.
It's humid, because like in California, it's really dry. And then when I go to, Miami, and I was just kind of like, something's different. What is it? Like, there's something that's like familiar, but like strange. And then I was like, oh, it's just like Bangkok.
Indeed. I've been there. I've been to Miami one time, and I've been to Bangkok one time. So I totally get. I get it. Yeah, for sure. And I went to Surin too. So to get back to Cambodia. So it was a lot of fun.
I
Yep.
actually never been to Cambodia. It's so close. And
Yeah.
every time it's something so close to you, people just like don't go.
Indeed.
I
That's
know.
like that's like
Oh,
me and the oceans. Like the ocean's like pretty much like 15 minutes away, but I've only been there once or twice. It's
true.
like
So true. So true. Oh my God. I remember
indeed.
when I was going to school, so I came here for school, right? And then when I was auditioning, they took us to like this cliff that oversees the ocean and like the great view. And everybody was like, oh my God, if I got in, I'm gonna come here like every other day, every day. And when we were in school for 3 years, right? I think I've been there like less than 5 times.
Wow. It's crazy. It's like, the people that are in the middle states want what we have, but then we want what's in the middle states. It's just a weird thing, like the Twilight Zone or something.
Yeah. Straight hair won't curly. Curly wants straight hair.
Absolutely, indeed. So you are an LA-based actress and comedian. What got you into acting?
So actually this is go back to when I was in my undergrad, and it was actually just a coincidence because I was taking Spanish and I sucked. So I'm like, what else can I do? And they have like philosophy, Thai, English, um, librarian, and theater. And I was just like, everything else is kind of like meh, and I don't know what theater is. Like I didn't know what it is until I'm like in my 20s. So I was just kind of like, all right, let's do this. I was just like, we don't know what it is. Seems fun. Let's do it. So I just kind of like signed up for it, and I was like, you can change it if you don't like it. But I was like, if you don't try it, you would never know. So I was like, I don't know what this is. Let's jump into it. So I was like, and it was like an experience that changed my life. I feel like it's shaped who I am today a lot. And since then I've been acting, and I just feel like it makes me understand other people and understand myself more when I was like, trying to do it, and just make me feel really good. To
Indeed. Most
get to
definitely.
like, like I'm going crazy cuckoo over it because I love stories, like telling stories, Yeah.
Indeed. And that's like my stand up is all about is like storytelling and stand up. So like I take like if I do my full set, like my full half hour,
Hmm.
I take them from like my journeys from like when my parents were in Cambodia to like now. And so it just like links up and it's a pretty way to that's how I keep it all organized and know where I'm at all times.
Hmm.
So I'm like a so it's pretty neat. So and you're a comedian too, and what got you into comedy?
Okay, that was actually really weird. Like I never really like get into stand up until recently. But like, I've been people always being like, "Oh, you should do this, you should do this." And in Thailand, we didn't really have like comedy club until like 3 years ago. Like we have like this one man who is doing stand up in Thailand. And he was so famous. His special is like 3 hours. He got like 15 specials on Netflix. You know, it was just kind of like one of the things, like, we don't know what, we didn't think it was a career path. We just know that this guy does this and we love him. That's it, you know? And I didn't know that I can like, oh, try to write jokes and then tell it to people. Like, you know, it's not a thing until like, until when I went back to Thailand in 2020 during COVID, because like everything was really quiet over here. I'm like, you know what? Let me go back, see my family. And then I actually like dipped my toes in stand up in 2019 when I was like, I should do something with my life. Like, and then I ended up like taking a stand up class. Like a lot of people have come to me and being like, oh, you should do stand up. And, you know, people just keep saying, and I keep seeing things. It's like, you know, synchronicity, just like weird, you know. So I was like, okay, let me take a class or something. So I took a class with Pretty Funny Women and had like a showcase, you know, and then I didn't like pursue it after because of like life stuff. And then when I go back to Thailand in 2020, my friend in Thailand was like, hey, they have this like new face comedian competition in this, you know, stand-up group that's like the main one, like, because a lot of people are like started to realize like that, oh, we can do this, not just this man, you know, like everybody can do it, you know, like people started like going to bars and like bargain, trying to like, oh, I'm not gonna sing, but I'm gonna do stand up or something like that, right? Until they formed this thing called like standalone co, like standalone. It's like, you know, and they have like little what do you call like yeah, Speakeasy, you know, for like comedians. And right now they have like a it's called Laugh Bar, that it's like online. And you know when they use that gather thing, when you like have your little avatar and you go into the bar and you can like shake your butt when you like shift 4, and then it's like they would make like little emojis and you can talk to the people and you can see the stand up, you can have a video of yourself, they can see you laugh, that kind of thing. It's still going on. Yeah, so I joined the competition and then miraculously won 2 rounds of the online one and the in-person one. And then after that, because I've been like acting before, so you know, being on stage wasn't crazy, right? It was just like a very different art of like, oh, we have the fourth wall, we don't see anybody. And then like, you know, stand up is being like, hi y'all, how's everybody doing? Like, how is the energy? Like, it's just very different. So from that, you know, that I won, and my friend was like, hey, we want to see more of you. We know that like you've been in America for like 5 years and now you just get to come back. We want to hear what, you know, we want to hear more stories. Like, do you want to do a solo? Do you want to do blah, blah? And I didn't have a lot of time at the time. So I was like, okay, you know what? I can talk about it. Like, I can't do like, oh, like, you know, a solo full on about like my life experience in 5 years, you know? So I was like, okay, let me write it out. And like, so I did that, and then I did kind of like a solo-ish, but stand up for like an hour in Thailand. And because of the COVID at the time, it was live stream, and you know, we have some audiences, you know, so I don't like just talk to the camera and like imagine the laugh. But you know, there are actual people that I can interact with, but you know, everybody's like spread out and wearing masks. You know, so yeah, it's but it was really fun. And then so when I come back, you know, sometimes I join them like the online thing, write up something, you know, 5-10 minutes, and then yeah, and then I know Kiki. I've seen her solo show in San Diego when I was in school. And then she moved to LA. I moved to LA too. And I'm like, oh, Kiki, what's up? And then she's doing Crazy Woke Asian. And I'm just kind of like, have, you know, come to see many times. And Kiki keep always being like, hey, do you want to do, like, you want to 5 minutes? You know? And then I'm just kind of like, oh, I don't know. Until, you know, this time, I'm like, all right, let's do it. You know, there's not going to be a time when you're ready. You just got to make yourself have to be ready.
Absolutely. And shout out to Kiki and Crazy Woke Asians and for having us and having their festivals. And appearances in Seattle, New York, and everywhere. And there's a viewer in attendance, so you're more than welcome to jump into the comments section and interact with us, but be nice to us and we'll interact with you back.
Be nice to us.
You always have to give that fair warning on YouTube, so it's like, all right. So you hold an MFA in acting in at the UC San Diego. When you mentioned that you lived in San Diego earlier, what made you pick UC San Diego to go to school?
Um, so okay, I came from Thailand to audition, right? It was like a different master degree. Like my friend was like, "Oh, you should just like do it, apply." And I'm like, "Girl, for acting, you have to be there. You have to like physically come and just don't know if you're gonna get it or not, if they're gonna interest it or not. Like, you know, if you actually send a resume and then they kind of like, oh, I like you, come and interview. This is not even that. I mean, you can be anybody and you pay and you can audition, you know? Yeah. But it was kind of like, I don't know. They might like hate my guts, being like, okay, terrible. Like, you know, and I already spent like thousands and thousands of dollars to fly over here, finding the place to stay, paying for, you know, all this audition. It was just a lot of things. So, you know, at the end, I was just kind of, okay, I wait for 5 years. I've quit my job three times, telling them I want to come to grad school and didn't. So at one point, it's the same thing. I was like, all right, let's apply. Let's just apply. So there's like a date and, you know, and I started preparing things and then came here. And then, you know, you come here, you audition as much as you can. I'm like, yeah, auditioning for 8 schools, you know, like, and I actually at first didn't know about UC San Diego. But the director I used to work with used to teach at UC San Diego, and he was in Thailand. And then he's in Florida right now, actually. Wow. Yeah. So we talked and he was like, hey, you should, you know, check out UC San Diego. I've never heard. I don't know what San Diego is. I don't know San Diego. I was like, I don't know what it is. You know, I don't know the city. Like, and so I just auditioned for a bunch of schools. I got into like, you know, several of them, but UC San Diego is a full ride. Wow. So I was like, it has to be UC San Diego. But I mean, you know, the weather is great, the people is great, and you know, when they have you on a callback weekend, you get to see the campus, you get to do a little workshop with them, you get to see them teach, you get to see the 2nd and 3rd year, and oh, if the next year I'm coming in, these are the people, it's gonna be my family, you know. So it was kind of nice to like see all these people, and I was just like, all right, they accept me. I think like, how much is this? Oh, it's free. Okay. Yeah. So I ended up just sort of like, you know, save up some money so that like, because during the time that we're in school, we don't really have a lot of time to work. It was kind of like, you know, you have to like keep being fit. You woke up at 7, try to go to the gym and then do whatever. And you start class at 9 and you have to do yoga and then class go until 5. And then you have rehearsal from 6 to 11. And then you have to come home and do homework. And then you have to do laundry and cook yourself some food and maybe sweep the floor a little. And so it's just a lot. So, you know, I didn't have a chance to be like working because I also have this disadvantage that every night I have to practice English. While my friend is like, let's go to the bar. And I'm like, and then my friend didn't get it. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to do the play with you if I don't do this. It's like you're doing Shakespeare, you're like the truth. And it's just really hard for me. I was accused of using, like someone wrote a paper about it, that like, I was using an inauthentic Asian accent in a play when I was trying to speak the American accent the whole time. I'm like, girl, what? Like, all right, I gotta practice. So, you know, that was what it was.
Yeah. Indeed. And your English has gotten better, so it's now those guys can't say much in the press anymore.
A lot of tears. But it was fun.
Most definitely. And you also have a BA in dramatic arts in, if I apologize if I'm pronouncing the university wrong, it's Chulalongkorn?
Yes,
University?
Chulalongkorn University. You can just say Chula.
Chula? Awesome.
Yeah,
Eh,
it's like, people know, pretty famous people know the name. Like when you say Chula, it's like, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Indeed, most definitely. And what picked are there any other universities in Bangkok, or is that the only one that you chose? And how did you get how are your school
It
days there?
was my number one choice. But it was actually all very random again. So at first, in Thailand, it's just really weird. You have to, like, in your high school, you have to choose already
Wow.
if you're going to do science and math, or you could do math and English, or you're going to do English and other language, and then it just, something else. But the thing is, it's like science and then language and then something in the middle, right? So I was just like, a lot of, if you want to be scientist, doctor, blah, 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 you got to do the science route. And if you didn't choose the science route, you can't go to university to be a doctor because you don't have the requirement to apply. So you have to know at 16 if you wanted to be a doctor or not. But are you going to regret this? Do you think you might want to be a doctor later? Like, we don't know. So a lot of people decided to do the science one just in case. Because, you can always take Japanese on the side and then trying to do the different language if you want. But then, have science in your pocket. If you ever, change your mind, being like, want to be a doctor now, you can do it. But I was just kind of like, I like math. I like English. Let's do that. And it was the middle route. So I go with that one. And then in my last year of high school, I decided that I wanted to be an illustrator. So I was snobbish. I was like, I wanted this university and only this program. And I was short by 10 points. So it was like, what do you call, a direct, like, it's not like, it's confusing. Okay, let me explain again. Start over. Okay. So I did that, didn't get in. They were like, we open again, let's do it again. But I was like, no. Destiny tell me it's not the right way. So I just started reading books, and then I get into Jula for Faculty of Arts, which normally is teaching languages, but they also have theater, which I never know before. I didn't know when I got into the thing, and then it just like, I studied Spanish. I was just kind of like, okay, whatever. Like I didn't have like big goals in life, being like, I'm going to save lives and do this. And I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I want to be. So I just kind of like picked the thing that I like. So it turns out, I was like, okay, let's do theater. And then here we are.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, and like here in the U.S., I went to school in Colorado, and so my major was broadcast journalism and in mass comm. And so it was like, because I'm really bad at math and science, so my parents wanted me to get a degree, and I'm like, all right, this is the fastest exit. I'm gonna go this way, and then now they have my degree on their kitchen wall, and I'm like, oh, that's nice of them. So I went to school for them, and so I have a degree that I still use because still interviewing comics as a journalist still. So I'm still using it after, gosh, 11 years out of college. So it feels good.
For me, I feel like the degree was like, okay, it was like, okay, we're proud, right? We did it. It was good. Our parents are happy. But let me tell you, in my path of career, it means nothing. I was like first class honor. I was like the top female in my field that get the top point. And it was like, I got scholarships. Means nothing. Like, they don't even care. They don't even look at it. Because they don't give a shit. It's like, you can be whoever. Okay, audition. And it doesn't, you get like, it means nothing. Like, for me. Like, in the thing that I was like working on or doing this and that. Like, I mean, people can see that, like, okay, you have education, you come from good school, you have good grades. Good. Better than not. But the other person could, didn't, she could be more qualified because, it's, yeah.
Indeed.
Especially, in stand-up, being like,
Right?
Who cares? I'm not sure.
And like, you know, like I was like in my senior semester, like my final semester, I took a class called senior seminar, and like one of the guest speakers said, you know, this job doesn't pay. So, and I'm like, thanks for letting me know right at the last semester. And I'm like, well, there's proof. My job doesn't pay after I graduate. It's like you gotta do it because you love it. And I'm like, all
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
fine, I'm stuck with it.
Actually,
So.
I actually just talked to my roommate yesterday because she was like doing well. She's doing well, and I'm just kind of like, "Meh," like over here freelancing, doing whatnot, And I was like working, and I looked up to her, and I'm like, I just realized this is a really bad habit. I don't do shit for money.
Same here.
I would do things. I'm like, yeah, you mean like you want to do an interview? All right. I'm like, who are you? But yeah, now we know each other. But so I mean, I just kind of like, ooh, like, I did so many free plays when I was in Thailand because I mean, number one, theater is not a thing.
Ah.
Like, I didn't know what it was until I was like 21. I'm like, what? Like I've seen theater when I was a kid. I didn't know what it was. I was just like, that was really fun. And I didn't know what it was. And we don't have like straight plays, like, like speaking, like not much. We have like 2 big theaters in Bangkok. Like 2, 3. Like right now it's 3 now. But then before that was like, when people say, oh, theater, they just thought like, oh, it's like musical with a lot of like fufa diamonds. Like Thai people would go to see a show and focusing on your costumes. Cause that's what they understood. Like the theater in Thailand, like we have like it's kind of like comedy dell'arte, like there's like stock characters, and then people just come to laugh, and they would just come here, and then all the main girl would be like really pretty with fake eyelashes and like big hair, and they would have like all this diamond frill like dress, and they would come and like ooh, like feeling like, oh, I was in the market selling fish all day. Now I'm sitting here seeing you wearing a lot of diamonds. Just made me feel good, And when I do all my plays, my parents would come to see my show and be like, the set's really pretty.
Yeah.
So they didn't really like, like really into, like, they're just not, like it's just not a kind of art, a kind of story or a way to receive story that they understand. So, I mean, we're trying to make people being like, hey, come check it out, like open mind, right? Because like sometimes you don't know, it's like buying a lottery. You're like going to this small theater and it was like the best experience ever, and your friend is like hooked in theater, right? Or you took them to something and they're like, really? Really? And you can't leave, it's rude. And then you just like got stuck there for 2 hours watching something. You're like, I hate this, So, and if they have the bad first experience, they will never come back.
Right?
Because like to live, we have to kind of charge them a little. And it was like, this is 3 times more than a movie theater. And there's no Brad Pitt.
Right?
Like, we're sorry, guys. Like the house is not burning down. There's no bombs. And you're like, and you charge me 3 times the movie ticket. And it's, so I don't know. It's hard, but it was, yeah. Sometimes I have this thing when I don't know if I was answering the questions right. You can cut me and be like, that
sure.
was not, we were not talking about that. Like, you can do that. I still like always like, and I'm like, huh? What was the question again?
Like how we don't get paid for our degrees, and like it's so true. Like like with how we like you're a freelancer, I'm a freelancer. It's like we just gotta do because we love it, and like it's true. Like with theater, like you did the free shows in Thailand, and as stand-up comics, we don't hardly get paid for what we do, and so and these jobs always like they're always no pay, so it's horrible, but the love is there at least. So,
So like the one guy who was like doing stand-up in Thailand, his name is Note, like Note. Oh, like Note, right? Or like nose. He said nose because he's had like big nose. And then and then I mean he's rich, He go around to like visit people or like walk around the street. People cry. They see him and he was like, oh my god, oh my god, can I hug you? It's like it's big, you know? And but that I told you that there's like a little small comedy club started opening up, right? And this standalone it's called Yundio. It's like a company that's like producing new face comics. And I was like the first time that they ever compete. I was like the first, you know, they're gonna do it annually, so like they can find new people and to get into the circle. But there was a prize. When I was like, you know, it was COVID, I got no job. I go back, and then my friend was like, yo, you know, there's a prize. Do this competition. So I did it, and I won 2 rounds, like online and then in person, and both of them have prizes. And then so at the end, when I was like holding the envelope, taking photos, all the comics were just looking at me and they said, we have been doing this shit for 3 years. And the money in that envelope was more than we earned in 3 years.
Wow.
Because like we don't get money. And that, I mean, the money in the envelope was not crazy comparing to, you know, American money. but it's like $800, right? But then you know, I was in Thailand, so I paid for Thai food. It was cheaper, and it helps me. Like during COVID, I was like, oh shoot, like, you know, I didn't have a security of the job, so that was like, oh yes, lucky. I earned this. But just the same, just what you said, like they all of them, like have been in Thailand for 3 years, like doing this, building this, you know, and they saw me just came just like a new face, right? It was for the new people. So when I won, they're like, I worked for 3 years. That's more than I've earned in 3 years. And it was like 1 day, you know? So they're like really pissed, but not like crazy. They're like, you know, happy for you, but.
Indeed. And that was the Young Man Can't Stand Up 2021, or was that a different
Yes,
one?
2021. And it was funny because it's called Young Man Can't Stand Up.
Uh-huh.
But the winner's a woman. And it's actually, you know, man, it's just kind of like in general, right? But it was funny because Thai people would like take it literally and being like, why does it say that? Like the first time when I actually see the name of the competition, I was like, can I apply? Like, I'm just not sure. I'm just like, it's just like an all guy thing. Like, I don't know, you know, it could be. So I was, because like most of the comic in Thailand are, you know, guys as well.
Yep.
And I'm just letting you right now, it's universal. It's not just, you know, over here. Guys love poop jokes.
Indeed.
Do you?
I have a couple that I talk about on stage. I'm not gonna lie, and the people in Daytona love it because they love their comedy dirty, and so like whatever I can come up with in my head on stage, they just like eat it up. It's hilarious. I love it there.
It's just funny because like sometimes it's funny for me, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, it get real. I don't want to hear this anymore, right? And then in the competition, a lot of people are doing poop jokes, and then I told my friend, and then like, you know, all the girls were just kind of like, oh, I'm so done with like poop jokes, you know, like all girls, mostly girls, just kind of like, I don't like poop jokes, you know. But then I have this one friend who was a guy, and he was like, I stood for poop jokes. It's the funniest thing. And I'm like, why? What's funny about it? It's just funny. And he was just like fighting for it. So I'm like, all right, it's gonna, and he's doing it every day. So I'm like, you know, it's funny for him. Must be funny for a lot of other people. So I was just like, it's not just over here. It's universal. Hi guys, love poop jokes as well.
Absolutely.
Right here.
Just like stand up, it's universal, and it's always fun to hear those things because like it's unexpected. So it's like it's, and the more crafty you get with them, the more it's hilarious. So Mo, you just performed your stand-up solo show, Tangmo Bless America, in Thailand in this past May. And what's the story behind Tangmo Bless America?
The grammar was wrong. Everything was wrong in that line, but we're happy. We were like, we're tired. We don't give a shit. Like, we get the English all wrong. Like, Tangmo is singular and the verb is whatever. It's like, okay. But it's about like, because I think it started out. I talk a lot. You were like, I already know that. this much into the show, we were like, she wouldn't stop.
You're fine.
But I just have a lot of weird experience. Because I kind of like throw myself into things, right? And I'm like stingy. I was like, oh, we're gonna find the cheapest place to stay, and like, just like all these silly things, and like. And I was studying really hard. I didn't have time to like call everybody, and I got really lonely. A lot of stuff happened. So one day, after I graduated, moved to LA, and I live in a house with 18 people, 4 bedrooms.
Wow.
2 bathrooms. And everybody was great, but it's just, there's some stories to tell, and it's just a lot of rules, because a lot of people to keep clean, and insanity, but you kind of like subtly go insane anyway. So like one night I just like, I can't do this shit anymore. I woke up. I couldn't go back to sleep because I was sleeping, and I was like, I forgot to put the pillow on the couch back the way it was, and I was like climbing down from my bunk beds, trying to like be quiet because like 4 people are sleeping, and I'm like, oh, come down, trying to like, oh, the pillow, because like you have to do the thing like really neat. Like if you left the table, the chairs like this, you can't left the chairs like this, just have to turn back the way it was, that kind of thing, And I got like 2 warnings about like, hey, you forgot to put back the pillow, and I'm like, fuck, it was supposed to be like this, but it was like this. And I'm like, So like that night, I was just kind of like, oh, like climbing back to bed, and I was like, I can't sleep anymore. This is crazy. I need to do something about this. So I was like going to the garage, and I like started recording a video, just kind of ranting. And I was like, all right, y'all, don't have time to call you. Watch my clip. I just like post it and like make a fucking YouTube channel. And then from there, people start being like, oh, it was funny, the story, we want to hear more. And so from there, it's kind of like, gathering all the stories of what happened to me from the time that I left Thailand till the time that I came back this time. So it was like around 5 years. So I did, like little like 8 sections would be like, auditioning, and like in school, and like first graduated, first acting jobs, and then being like, oh, finding housing, and then like love life, work life, working in the Thai kitchen. This one, everybody resonated. Like all the Thai people were like, I know it's funny, but they're like crying. It's so funny. And then bad thing happened with the relationship. There's like seeing a therapist, COVID, that kind of thing. So it was just like a lot of stories, and then I just kind of like put it in a story in like one big chunks, and then just kind of like, okay, let's see. Like, I was just like rehearsing, trying, because I've never done it before either, right? Some of the bits in the special was the one that I used to compete for the Young Man Can Stand Up. So like it was also like, my life story, like a part of me, like, oh, this is the house I was living in, was like this. And then, we did 2 rounds. So the other round I did a story about like my girlfriend. And then it just became like, oh, we want to hear more. Why don't you do the whole thing? And then, it could be a big piece. So at first I was like, oh, do we have enough time? And then I was like, you know what? If I'm not going to do this now, I'm probably never going to do this. Let's do this. So we have like, little time, but it was great.
Indeed. Most definitely. Yeah, that's what I did with my quarantine 2020, was make up a one-man show, and I called it Stories on Sunset.
Oh,
Yep.
that's awesome.
So like the first act is how I pursued my dreams of to be like a master of horror and and become a master of horror, and I moved out to LA to do that with my favorite one. And the second act is how I got paid to be a journalist and go to free shows and concerts on the Sunset Strip. So that's where the stories on Sunset came from. And then the third act is me performing my stand up for like the next third act. And then the fourth act is how everything came together and created my two festivals. So
Oh my God, that's awesome.
yeah. So
Two
it's a lot.
festivals. So you were holding two festivals.
Yep, I have two of them. One's in Colorado and one's in Daytona Beach, and it's a music and comedy festival. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. We did 8 years so far in Colorado this past year, and then we had our first year here in Daytona Beach this past year. So I'm gonna keep those festivals going. So
That's so awesome.
yeah, who knew that free journalism degree could cause all this, and I'm still, mass communicating to the people because of like stand up. You can perform in front of 5 people or like hundreds of people at once.
Mhm.
It's same thing. So they should put stand up comedy in that mass com emphasis, like part of the one of the courses they can take. So public speaking could be easier on everybody. So
So true. I think. Yeah.
indeed. So Mo, we're raising funds for the what you picked was a Thai Theater Foundation. And why did you pick the Thai Theater Foundation to raise funds for?
Okay, so um, uh, my friend who lives in New York started the foundation uh, because we have a lot of, we have like circle of people that we know who are Thai and like come over here and then trying to do theater. And we also have like Thai theater artists in Thailand. And because theater was still not like, not very strong in Thailand. We had like tight knit group of people, but it was not prosper. It was not like Korea when they have like woo like festival and it was like crazy, We're like we're trying to get there. So like my friend was like dedicated their lives to like, yo, I wanted to build on this. I wanted the thing that give the meaning of their life. Like theater get my friend through like a really hard time, with like his identity, their identity, and like parents and school and everything, which is without theater, they wouldn't know what they would be today, So they wanted to do this, and they invited me to become like I was part of the board member who was like, would help them when there is like, okay, we were planning on this and this and this and this. What do you think? So we were like, giving opinions. We were like, kind of like help guide them. We have like one power to vote, just like everybody else. And more, it became like we have the Thai Theater Foundation in Thailand. That is like a group of people working for like, theater and like also like connecting with over here. And for me, we're Thai Theater Foundation US. So the thing that we're started doing right now, we're doing a podcast. I'm the host.
Yahoo!
It's called Spotlight. So it was like a hybrid podcast that we are interviewing like Thai theater artists or Thai American or um, anybody that's have connection with like Thai theater community in the US, working, doing entertainment, could be designing Blue Man Group, like it could be anything, right? So we were like wanted to have this network that we know each other. Because like sometimes people just being like, yo, we need Thai actor, where are they? And it's like, we are here. So my friend also had like a lot of connections, so they started to get people together and doing like Thai theater network called a sharing room. Next Sunday, let me invite you. So next Sunday we have a sharing room called Snack and Chat. So people just kind of like speak Thai and English, and most of the time English, because if some people don't understand Thai, everybody can speak English, and we just, just chit-chatting. It's just kind of like having a Sunday, connecting with your community. I don't know you now. I don't know, maybe we meet every Sunday. I get to know you at some point, and people already started collaborating and like get together and do projects, or like getting ideas from people and talk to each other. I made a lot of friends, and because they're trying to build this community, I wanted to be able to support in any way that I could, because it's a nonprofit, and we didn't have a solid, like, oh, this person give us every year, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, it's random. Like, my friend would, have to like every year to like trying to find like donors and people who would like to support us. And, we're helping artists in Thai artists in Thailand as well. And, Thai artists over here. And we don't just, uh, say, hey, you're not Thai, you can't. Like, no, it's just kind of like, it's a big community. We have friends who are like Laotian, and they just speak Thai. So they're like, hey, what's up? They're like so close, and they're just like hanging out with us, and it's just fun. It's just cool. And if you're like, hey, I don't understand Thai, there are a lot of people who are like Thai American, and they're actually just doing English, And so we were like, all right, cool, we can do that. And then if there's anything, then, it's going to be like 5 words you don't get, no big deal, So, yeah, so we're helping, like, trying to make the Thai theater community strong by, like, both over here and in Thailand. Yeah, so that was they're trying to create connections, community, and I'm really bad at this, but yeah.
You're fine.
I never be a spokesperson. But, I mean, you know what I mean. Go to the website and read it.
Absolutely. Yep, it's right there, scrolling on the bottom, and it's right there in the description box on the YouTube channel and on my website too when I piece it together. But Mo, I don't speak Thai, but I haven't been there since 2006, and the only thing that I still remember is Sawadee Ka, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. One thing. So you're a guy, so you say Sawadee Kap.
Oh, Sawadee Kap.
Yes, but actually it's so random. Even though you're a guy, you can also say Ka, but it's like, oh, you're trying to be cute, saying it to a girl.
Oh, okay.
So you mean like, oh, and then you're like, it's like you're imitating the way she would say it to be cute, to like, like that kind of thing. But like normally, if you talk to another guy, you wouldn't say that.
Indeed, that's good to know. Because like everyone would always greet me over there at the, there was like restaurants, and I was so confused because there's like masculine voices and feminine voices. It's kind of like Mexico has theirs, and then like Cambodia has theirs too. And so it all makes sense now. It's like we have masculine tones and feminine tones, and like the way that we have to speak. And so, yeah, most definitely. And I speak Cambodian too, so I have to speak Cambodian to my parents because.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Indeed, I still have the language in me, so that's good stuff.
That's really good. That's really good. Like people being like, "Oh my god, not a language," and I'm like, "Girl, I only know 2, and that's it." And I'm like, I think I'm good. Like I'm trying, but like I'm still like figuring out this one. But I'm just like really amazed when I see people who speak like, oh, I speak 5 languages. I'm like, what?
Right? That's a lot of languages.
Like, but wait, how much do you speak it though? Like, were you like, oh, I can like travel and communicate with people in hotels, or you were like, oh, let's talk about philosophy and things that's important in this language too? I'm like, you speak 5 language? Like, where do you keep that?
Indeed. Oh
like,
man.
Right here.
I'm good with 2 too. So
yeah.
Yep. So Mo, these are the questions I ask every comic that I interview. And so with that being said, Mo, what inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
Say it again. What?
What inspired you to perform stand-up comedy?
I think it's the need to connect. Like, I remember I had like, said that I like bomb diggity bomb bad bomb, like bad, like not like a bomb in a good way, like it's a bad bomb. Like, and I was like, because I was so focusing on like, oh, doing my thing, and I was like, nah, like people come here, like sometimes we just need to like, yeah, talk to me, like tell me the thing, like, and okay, it's not funny, I'm not laughing, I don't hate you. But it's yeah, so I'm trying to get there. Like right now I feel like okay, this might be like something weird to say, but like I was in a musical once, big production. Everybody was like from Broadway and shit. And then so like I was like, I'm a bad dancer. I'm like, I can like do like contemporary dance, but I can't like 1, 2, 3, 5. Like I can't. And then all the people in the production, they were just like, they give you like movement, and then in 5 seconds they can do it. And I'm like, how long have you been doing this? And they said, oh, I've been dancing since I was 5. And like, I think in my head, I'm like, what did I do when I was 5? You know, like, is there anything in my life that I've been doing since I was 5? And then I was like, this is useless. I tell jokes. And then, I mean, it's not like literally jokes, but I was like, I would, you know, tell stories, and then like the whole class was just sitting there listening to me for hours, just me talking about my dad or something like that. And I've been doing that since I was a little girl. And I didn't think anything of it, you know. I was just like, people just being like, oh, she's funny, blah, blah. But we didn't think that like, oh, let's make a living out of this shit, you know. So we didn't think anything of it. And it's very different when it's like not my first language. Like, I mean, you know, trying to get a stranger on your side, listening to your like dumb private story was already hard enough. But when it's like in another language, when like you're not confident, it's just like freaking you out. And like at first it was freaked me out a lot. But the reason I wanted to do it right now is because, okay, let's do it until it's no longer there. So I was like, you know what? Let me stop until I'm like, this is a regular thing. I don't care. Like, you know, like, yeah. So I just didn't feel like, I have been very resistant at the beginning because I was like, oh, I don't like, oh, just like writing jokes, just, you know, be there just to try to make people laugh all the time. Like, sometimes I just wanted to tell you this. I think it's funny. Maybe you find it funny. And some part of it is not funny at all. Or it's some type of humor that's like, you will laugh, but it's like dark as shit, you know? So I was kind of like, never really like, you know, like so much. Just like, what's that? Like, you know, like that kind of comedy. Like some people do that a lot. And like, sometimes I laugh at that a lot, you know, when they're like, you know, the slapstick one, when they're just kind of like, what did you say? Like they would make sound effects and stuff, you know, like, so I was like very resistant at first, but then I don't know, at one point I'm like, you know what? This is the thing that I don't have to wait for anyone to say that, oh, we need some Asian American must speak Mandarin that seems very obedient and wild at the same time to be the best friend of the main girl. Like, it just kind of like, you have to like, you know, because I was acting, I'm waiting, I'm doing whatever was written, try to make me fit. Like, I can do this. Like, you know, when sometimes you're like, oh, you're not like extremely pretty. Like, and they're just like, oh, like real skinny. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not that skinny. Am I skinny enough? Like, you don't know, and you just kind of fuck with your head. So this is something that I'm like, all right, let me do my take on shit. And I'm just like grateful for Crazy Woke Asian. I was sorry, I was doing something with it earlier. Crazy Rich. So with Crazy Woke Asian, just, you know, to being like, oh, it's not just me. So people would come to see other people and then get to see me a little. Because I mean, you know, nobody knows me over here. Like in Thailand, I mean, okay, I can get like 200, 300 people to come maybe. But like over here, it's like, I'm a dog. That's it. He barks a lot. You know, so it's like, I don't know. But yeah.
Yep, that's so true. Like, I don't have any fans here, but all the comics know me, so it's like it's in Florida. So because I interview comics all the time, so that's, and I always take pictures for free, and they use them as pictures on their flyers and their headshots, and so that's
Yeah.
how they all know me. So I'm like, I'm glad I'm like a comic rather than people that just pay to come see me. So I'd much rather do open mics and shows, and that's what I'm getting at as I go along. Like, because I'm like 6 years in consistently, and I'm just like, there's no mics close to me. Like the closest one's like an hour away, and I'm like, I don't really want to drive that far anymore for an open mic or a show. I'm just gonna quit while I'm ahead. So mow 'em. What was the feeling like when you first performed stand up?
First, I mean, the first one, man, it was terrifying. It was terrible. Like, I don't feel good because I don't feel confident at all when I first doing it. It was in English, and I'm like, I don't think they're gonna think it's funny when this is like a thing that I need them to laugh, and it's just kind of like so. I got the thing when they were like, okay, like it was a class, so they were like, hey, got to work on like connecting with the audience. And I'm like, am I still not connecting? I didn't know what I was doing, right? But later and later on, I started to understand more and more. And I mean, audience also helps a lot, when they actually come in to like have a good time, and they just kind of like, all right, I'm listening. Okay, give you 5 minutes, still hate it, then they don't care. But like, if you get them to like, kind of hooked in at the beginning, they're like, all right, okay, I'm open-minded enough to listen to your bullshit, But then at open mics, sometimes people are really nervous about their set. So they're just kind of like, like not really listening to you. So it's kind of like, okay, hey, everybody. But I just feel like with real people, with real audience, it's like meeting a new friend, right? Like a new group of friends. And then you kind of like, let's see how I'm dealing with this group, So it's a little different from like, oh, I'm just going to do this and then see that I like it or not, pretty much. It's just kind of like, okay, who are here today? And it's kind of like, oh, this conservative bunch. All right. Let me adjust my joke a little bit. But yeah, and I mean, when people just laughing at things, I mean, they don't get offended too much. When they realize I was like, this girl is like nonsense. Like, we can't trust anything she say anyway. She's gonna say whatever the fuck, and it was like, and her opinion means nothing. So it's like, it's okay if she's gonna offend me. Like, nobody cares about what she said. So yeah, I feel like I just hope, that I get a chance to do this more and more, getting better. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, they saved me for last because I'm really dirty at my homeroom, and like there's nothing but comics left anyways. And so as long as I can make them laugh and the bartender laugh, then I'm totally fine.
Like,
I'll just
maybe.
yeah. Right. So, Moam, what are your favorite comedy specials and comedy record albums?
I really, really, really like Wanda Psych, and I like Joe Coy.
Awesome. Oh, Joe, I love the guy too.
Oh man, actually I love Ali Wong too. I just love a lot of people, but most recently, I mean, I love Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, blah blah blah, right? But most recently, I just watched Kurt Kasner, The Machine.
Oh yeah, Bert Kreischer.
Yeah,
Bert Kreischer. There it is.
Yeah. Because I was watching the stand up 2020 or 21 something on Netflix, and then they have a lot of other like the little lineup and like little sketch from like everybody. So I actually like follow the list. It's like, who is these people? Yeah, because it's just really different. We only have one guy, and we're like, all right, got it. His new one is coming out. But this one, you got like 1,000 comics, and I'm like, can't keep up. Like, right? I don't know what's going on. Who's doing what special? Like, so I'm just kind of like, catch up with like what I can. So right now I'm still learning. Let me know if you have anything to like. Oh, check this out! Like, I love it.
Indeed, the one that I recommend.
Like, I already seen that. I still love it.
Indeed. Did you watch the Neil Brennan's Three Mics yet on
Netflix? No.
Oh, you got to watch that one.
Okay.
He's the co-creator of Chappelle's Show, and like one mic is for storytelling, one mic is for one-liners, and one mic is for jokes, and it's incredible. I hope it's still on there. If it is,
What is it
catch it.
called then? Three mics?
Three. Yep, three mics. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
He's
making notes.
the
What is it on? Is it on like YouTube, Netflix?
Netflix. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still putting my face right here. Sorry, I'm writing.
It's okay. Yep. Yeah, I really watch stand-up specials and listen to comedy records, but that one just was really great. And like Joe Coy was awesome too. He gave me his record when I met him, so it was pretty awesome.
Oh my God. How did you met him?
Oh, I met him at in Jacksonville at the Florida Theater, and I did
I
a
also
meet.
met him.
Yep, it's so neat. And like I told him how much he meant to Asian comics like us because there's like hardly any of us out there that are like well known. And so he grabs my phone and he turns on all the filters and takes pictures and all that stuff. And then he films a video and then I put the video on my YouTube channel. And it was like the most I never asked for the video and or the pictures, but he did it anyways and he signed everything I had. It was like he's such a great guy.
He is such a great guy. Okay, let me tell this to everybody so they love him even more. So
Okay.
I was actually working at I was a waitress at the restaurant. And then I see these guys coming in, right? And they like, Joe Coy. And I'm like, who are you guys? And then later, I think I just kind of like, making conversation. Turns out Joe Coy is coming. And I'm like, what? And I was the only person in the restaurant who knows him. Because, Thai people, they don't know him. And then they're just sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, he's here. And it's like, who's he? I don't know. Who? And I'm like, oh, can we like give him this? Why? They just like don't know him. But I told my wife at the time, and then she was just kind of like, oh my God. I asked Joe Coy to like I don't know, like, can I take a picture with you? This and that. And then he was just kind of like, take my phone, record a video, being like, hello, and just like say hi to my wife, being like, guess who I'm with today? And it was, like, it was so cute. It was like made her day. She was like, oh my God, Joe Coy made a video for me, And then I told him, I was like, that was like 2019, I guess, when I was like trying it, and I was like, yeah, I was like, working on like writing the thing, and he was like, oh yeah, I'd love to hear it someday. I'm like.
And
Yeah, very nice.
he's such a great guy, and I'm so glad like he's selling out arenas and dating Chelsea and all that good stuff, and he deserves the best in life, and it's awesome of him. And for what your reaction with or interaction with you and me, and I hope to keep that going if I become to get his level.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
Now we know that like he's a great person.
Absolutely, indeed. And most comics are just miserable, sad pandas. I'm glad there's a.
Sad panda.
I'm glad there's one good one out there that's great like that.
Oh yeah, wait. So actually, people really comparing like sad people to panda because of the black eye?
Yeah, well, I guess so. They always like the term "sad pandas" are always around, so I always call my fellow comics "sad pandas," especially the depressed ones. So
But
I just go up to
that
them.
one was actually like I heard the joke about this, like about the T-shirt of the sad panda.
Well, I think it's like meant for like sad people, like Eeyores, like and
Yeah.
all my buddies are really sad on stage, so I just give them hugs, and they call them sad pandas.
But that was also really fun. Like the first time I was like started to be interested in stand up, I was like when I was in New York, I went to see like an open like a stand up, right? And then the style was very different because we grew up with one stand up comedian. So a lot of people with like it's kind of like your humor's a little trained to received or like interpret things in a certain way. So like when I was in New York, there was like this guy who was like not a sad panda, but it was like the whole set was him kind of. The whole thing was slow. It was a slow rant of him being sarcastic about the world. And I was sitting there and I'm like, this is actually funny. And I'm like, but it was just new. It was just new to me, because normally like it would be like dramatically funny or really sharp or, like it was just different the way delivered. But it was, it was like, a different pace. still funny, what's going on. But yeah, I understand. Yeah. Sad.
Indeed. And if you can go on tour with any comic, locally and internationally known, which comics would you like to go on tour with?
I'll go on tour with?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is hilarious, but I would love to know Kevin Hart in person. I think he's cool.
Me too.
He seems really cool. Like, to talk with, to be friend with. Or like Dave Chappelle. I really like them. Like as a person, as like, you can see their, like on stage. I don't know what it is. Like it just wanted to be their friends. Like I would love to be Dave Chappelle's friend. I'm like, he just seems really cool. Like it's not that, oh, he is like Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? But it's kind of like just he shared his heart with us.
Absolutely. I think so too.
Me, that's really important, more than like, doing all the accent or like, I mean, you can be great. Like, I mean, sometimes like I don't like, like at Dave Chappelle all the time. Sometimes the things he talks about is like really serious, but then it would come back to be funny. But then for me, it was kind of like, I'm not seeking like all the time. I can go, see a farce. Like, I want that, but I'm like, I like you enough to be sitting here listening to you talk about whatever you want for how long, that means like, I have to like you. Like, if the things that you said, like not always funny. And then you just kind of like feeling connected to the person more than just their work in general. I don't know. I'm not really good at this.
You're totally fine. And any local comics that you'd like to go on tour with?
Oh, local comic. I actually
don't know a lot. Oh, indeed. I don't blame you.
I don't know a lot yet. As like, I don't remember their names. Oh my God, this is so bad. People's gonna hate me. I mean, I'm really bad at this. I just don't remember names.
Uh-huh.
I'm working on it. I'm getting better.
That's good.
Because at first I was like, oh, who do you want to do stand-up comp? At first when you said about part 3, right? I was like, oh, who do I want to do stand-up comedy? And I have my answer in mind. It was just not the right question that I had in my head. Because I was like, I want to see my roommate do stand-up. Because no, she did some stand-up before and she's hilarious. And then she just like, no, I'm working for money now.
Right?
But I mean, shoot.
You can pick Kiki if you want.
Will Kiki go on tour?
Yeah, I hope so. She's already going to Seattle and New York all the time, so.
I'll follow Kiki to the end of the world.
There you go.
Let's say that. I mean, like, local comedy, Kiki.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Can we edit that? It's live.
No. Indeed. And so,
I just thought like, oh, I have to think about like someone who's like on tour right now.
For sure.
So I'm like, who's on tour? I don't know. I'm like, damn. Oh. I got one.
Okay.
I saw her. I first saw her not at Crazy Woke Asian. But then I see her again in Crazy Woke Asian. And that is Ivy. She was in the Netflix. She was in the show about what's her name? Ivy something something, long hair, bisexual.
I don't know. To be honest
What
with
was her
you.
name? Ah! Okay,
So,
I suck. I'm so
like,
sorry.
is she
Probably.
famous? Is she famous now?
Yeah, yeah. She's doing. I think she could go on tour.
Oh,
She's
like,
like, she's like on TV show and stuff, and she's like,
is she
it's
on?
so funny if she's watching this shit right now. She'd be like, that's kind of like what? Like I was like remember like certain things, but then I didn't remember like okay, what was the name of the show she was on? Like I'm like, oh, she was on this show, Good Trouble, Good Trouble.
Good trouble. I'll have to look it up for you.
There's like an
So,
Asian girl, long hair,
Asian girl with long hair.
black hair. Not totally. It's like this black and white panda. So bad. This
So,
Ivy, Ivy. That's her stage name. Something Ivy.
huh?
It's not Poison Ivy. Is it Yellow Ivy? I don't know, man.
I know there's so many stage names there, and huh?
She's being like, you suck. You
There's
can't
like
come on the tour with me.
the closest one's like her name's like Sherry Cola or Alice
Yes,
Twine.
Cherry Cola. It's Cherry Cola. I just
That's
went.
the one.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Wait, what about the Ivy thing? Maybe
Um,
that was the name of her set.
it could have been. Yep.
It was Cherry Cola.
We'll
Okay.
go with that
Yes,
one for sure. And
I like her a lot. I like her a lot.
indeed, and some of those famous folks you mentioned are on TV and film. And what are your favorite sitcom, sketch shows, and comedy films?
My favorite. Oh, I love Key and Peele, but I will always gonna love Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Indeed, good call. And favorite sitcoms?
Sitcom. Oh man, I didn't watch a sitcom for a long time. I love Friends. Oh. How I Met Your Mother.
Good call. And also comedy films.
Comedy films. Okay. Woo! I'm like not big on film. Can I? Comedy film. But that's a series because I was like, I like Mr. Beans a lot,
That'll work.
but
Isn't
not the movie one.
oh for sure. Yeah, I can't handle a lot of Mr. Bean in a long movie format either. I'm just like, give me
I have a suggestion though.
okay.
If someone is thinking about going to see a show in New York right now, I saw this show and I was laughing so hard. My date was like trying to make me stop. And I couldn't stop because it was really, really funny. And it's called The Show That Goes Wrong.
That sounds like a good show to watch.
It's amazing. Everything
Indeed.
goes wrong. It's great. I love it. And like, I mean, if you're like working, like, doing theater a lot, you're gonna love it.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I used to like, I don't watch too much movie, but I was like, I read mangas a lot. I used to like watch a lot of plays. Not lately because it was kind of like, and then but yeah, I like reading plays, reading mangas, and TV shows. I didn't watch lately. I didn't get to like a lot of comedy, but I watch so many TV shows. Ted Lasso is really good.
Indeed, that'll work too. So, let's see if you can get roasted by 5 comedians, past and present, which comedians would you like to get roasted by?
Oh my god, for real?
Yep.
Oh my god. Okay. Ooh, okay. I want Fluffy to roast me. I want Kiki to roast me. I want you to roast me because we had this interaction. I want Joe Coy to roast me. I want Ali Wong to roast me. I was like, bye, Kevin Hart. I'm sorry. Gotta be girls. We're more fun.
Indeed, most definitely. And let's see here with where do you see your comedy journey in the next 5 years?
Ooh, okay. We're talking the future now, huh? I don't know, but right now I'm feeling good. I am, I feel like I'm slowly doing this shit, you know? So it's kind of like, all right, let's be on this together. You could be like, all right, she is not funny at all, to the point of like, all right, she's starting to get funny. I hope that they come. And I mean, yeah, I think I'm just gonna, want it to be in the circle, writing things. I'm, thinking about like maybe doing a solo at some point. So I'm like writing. I wanted to, I wanted to feel much more comfortable and, know the people, have community. Like, I'm just really lonely. I don't have friends, man. Like,
I feel your pain. I'm always like, for me, I'm always like saying hi and bye and like having our conversation short, and then I don't even stay and hang out with the comics afterwards because it gets really late for me. So it's like, and I have like an hour to drive home. I'm like, I wish I was more of a local Daytona comic, but I got a long way home.
I actually got one thing. I know it's really late in the game. It's already hour 10 minutes. So bad, but I was just like, if I don't do it now, it's gonna get weird. What should I call you?
Oh, Sareth.
Saret. Okay, that was it.
Yeah, it's on the bottom there for us. So.
I know, I saw it, and I was like, I don't know if you go by Saret or name.
Oh, for sure. Yep, because sometimes in Cambodia it's like you say the last name first and then the first name last. It's like my grandpa did it, and it's unique that way.
That's your last name, one syllable?
Yep.
That's great. I did not know that.
Yeah, so easy to remember.
Thai last name really long, annoying.
Yeah, it's really long.
You don't have enough space when you're like trying to come into the country and you have to like write the form. My friend's last name, she was like, I have 6 more alphabets.
Indeed.
Because they're like making like one by one, right? So, no matter how small you write, it's like, I don't have enough space.
Yeah. Like my first name is like confusing because everyone calls me Sarith or Seth, or I'm like, you know what, just call me Shrek, like from the ogre.
Sorry.
So, yep. And then Mo, which other forms of comedy would you like to venture off into? You've done theater and skit stand up. Like, would you like to go into comedy writing, acting, directing? You've done.
I'm actually really wanted to go into improv right now. So I took improv class and I really like it. And I mean, right now I'm kind of waiting a little bit to take another class, but like in person, I've been doing online. I mean, it was great, but it's kind of like, oh, let's do this sketch together while you're in your bedroom and I'm over here connecting through eye contact. Like, sometimes you just want to be in the same space and do things together. So yeah, I'm still waiting a little bit for the in-person class to come back to like, all right, let's do this. Like, I didn't have like a group or anything yet that I would be like, oh, I would just go over here and do it with this group of friends because we're like tight. I'm like, God, no friends. Can't do stand up. Can't do I can't do improv with my dog. Like he doesn't respond. Like So anybody's watching right now. I'm very
stupid. There's only one, but you're more than welcome to jump into the comment section and we'll interact with you too. And so Mo, let's see here. What is what experience would you like your audience to take with them after a set is over?
Once my set is over?
Yep. What experience would you like your audience to take with them after it's over? Like one of your sets or a set?
I want them to look back at themselves and just being affected in some way, It's either, that was like that story of mine. It's comforting to know other people experience quite the same thing. Or it could be like, oh yeah, that happened to me too. And now that she talked about it, it was not that bad. Or it could be something like, oh, never experienced that yet, shit, but had a great time. Like, it could be anything. It could be like, because sometimes the thing that had a lot of meaning to me in the arts. Like it's really strange, like it's abstract, right? And people always being like, okay, what did you give to the world? What did you give to the society? And we're like, Ma, I don't know. I'm playing like, a character in a play. I'm doing my best. I'm having fun. And they're like, so what did you give to the world? And I'm just like, I don't know. So at one point I was actually on the receiving end, when I'm like seeing theater or doing things and I'm like, what do I get from that? Like the shows or performance or moments that stays with me the longest. And like, anytime anyone asks anything, I'm being like, oh, that one time, it would always be there. Like, I was seeing this one show and it just makes me think about like the deepest part of my life that I was like trying not to think about it. And this show was just like, talk about it. I'm like, so yeah, I want them to feel like at least there's something after. It could be like, I don't know, it could be like certain jokes that keep them laugh for days, or it could be like, she didn't laugh at all, but like it did something to you, that like like you feel that you were touched in some way,
Indeed.
Like,
most definitely. Right on the nose.
Something like that. But yeah.
And Mo, what is your favorite joke a comic has written?
What was my favorite joke?
Yep, a comic has ever written. It could be yours, it could be anybody else's.
Oh my God. Okay. This is I don't have to say it, right?
Right.
I think I remember I was watching, like, this fucking smart. Like, I was just like, keep doing that. And I was like, no matter whoever says shit about this person, he is good at his shit. Like, wait, what's his name? Anthony
Jeselnik. Yep.
His writing was really good. And I'm like, I have a friend who's like, nothing of this is funny at all. Like, the thing he talks about, like, I don't find that funny. Why is he making fun of that? I'm like, girl, it's a joke! And it's funny! Shut up! Like, the way he was setting it up and his keep, like, come on, we see, like, 5 special of, Anthony Jeselnik, and then he can still surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not good. I don't know what else is. But I'm not going to go on tour with him. He seems sick. I was like, he's really smart. Like, I love his joke writing.
Most definitely. Indeed. And Mo, for the last and final segment, which 5 comics, they could be Asian comics or any comics you want. I know that you don't remember their names, but we'll try our best to remember their names. So Mo, which 5 comics would you like to see on a future episode of the Stand-Up Speakeasy?
Wait, if I was what? Say it again.
Which 5 comics would you like to see on a future episode of the Speakeasy? They could be Asian comics. They can be any comic you want, except for famous ones because they're hard to get to.
Okay. I have one. Okay. Oh man, it's so hard. I don't know their
names. If you want, you can pull up the flyers from our show at the Crazy Occasions and just like pick their names if you want.
Okay. I'll do this. Oh
Make
man.
it easy on you.
I mean, there is like a time that I found this one guy at an open mic. Uh-huh. I don't know who he was, but it was hilarious. And I was like, I didn't ask like, any kind of, because it's weird. It's like, 5 people in the open mic, like 4x4 space, like really small. And then he was like this Arab talking about 9/11. Like his birthday was 9/11. Like, and it was really funny. Like, and he was like, "Oh, is that too soon?" It was just like really funny. He was like, "Oh, we can't joke about this, but like, I have a lot of story about this day." And okay. Crazy occasion. Oh, I remember. Okay, I got 2. I just don't know the names. Give me one moment. No. Mm, I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Have you interviewed Danny Plum yet?
Not yet.
I like to see his interview.
Okay.
It was fun because I was like saw him the first time. He was doing. Oh my god! Oh, we can't. Uh, wait. Have you? I'd like to hear about Sherry Cola. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And then this guy. What's his name? He's playing skateboard. He's teaching skateboard. He's wearing a hat all the time. Ugh. Um. I'm like, where do you see all these people's names?
I go to their website, the Crazy Woke Asians website, uh,
Yeah.
and
I'm
then the performers.
performers. Where do you click? Oh, this is taking so long. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, have you interviewed Kiki?
Not yet, but I want to though.
We're gonna get Kiki.
Yep.
So that's already 3, right?
Yep. Yep. I'm happy with 3. So.
Yes, there's this one guy I really want to hear about his story. I have his name card. It's in the box. Next time, if you need names, you gotta tell me in advance.
Indeed.
This is like really bad. Like I'm working on it.
Indeed. So please follow Mo on Instagram. Her handle's on the bottom. Donate to Venmo because we were out of shows last year because of COVID. So I'm trying to make up for all those lost shows. And donate to the Thai Theater Foundation as well if you can. There's tickets to buy, tickets to the shows at the Crazy Woke Asians Kung Pao Festival underneath this YouTube video and on my website. So click and copy and paste however you can to buy tickets to sell out the entire festival and come see Crazy Woke Asians Kung Pao Festival. Is there any further final words, last final words you'd like to give out to the audience at home, Mo?
Just thank you so much for listening in. We can watch this after, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay. None of this can be edited, so thank you everybody for be with us. But yeah, just one day at a time, everybody. We're all doing it.
Indeed, one day at a time, folks. Awesome. And for the Stand Up Speakeasy, I'm Sreth. And for Mo, until next time, we'll see you all. Be safe and take care of each other. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Stand Up Speakeasy.
Thank you, Sreth.